COVID normal.
Dreamworld's operators fined $3.6 million over the deaths of 4 people at the Gold Coast theme park. Hostilities between Azerbaijan and Armenia flare, with at least 23 people killed in clashes. And the NRL and AFL on the home stretch. The fixtures for the finals are released. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Gemma Vaness. Victoria has recorded a single-digit coronavirus increase in the state's lowest rise in months. It comes as Melbourne moves to the second step of its roadmap out of lockdown. Reporter Stephanie Ferrier has more from Melbourne.
We had just 5 new coronavirus cases in Victoria today. That's our lowest increase since June the 12th. Sadly, 3 more people died. They were a woman aged in her 80s and 2 men aged in their 60s and 90s. All 3 of those deaths were connected to aged care, and it takes our death toll in Victoria up to 787. There are still 49 people in hospital with coronavirus. 8 of those are in intensive care and 4 of those remain on a ventilator. But just in terms of our new case numbers, the Premier says that we are really well ahead of schedule, and these are really significant numbers. He says that that takes our 14-day rolling average in metropolitan Melbourne down to 20.3. Regional Victoria is sitting steady on 0.6, and that means that across the state we are at 20.9.
Today's numbers are proof positive beyond any doubt that this strategy is working. This is the lowest daily case number for a very long time, and it's not so long ago that we were reporting not 5 cases, but 725 cases.
The Premier, though, does say that those lower new case numbers do come off the back of lower testing rates, with just over 6,800 tests processed to come up with those numbers, and they would have been conducted on the Saturday. He's once again urging anyone with the mildest of symptoms to come forward and get tested. And there also seems to be new and easier ways of testing coming along. Jerome Weimar from the Department of Health has said that they have just completed a trial of the new saliva swab testing. That involved around 1,000 staff from Victoria Police across the state.
As a result of that saliva trial, we found 1 positive case at Dandong Police Station. That test has been confirmed, and we've undertaken the full close contact tracing and isolation of those individuals. So it shows again the importance of ongoing development of testing, and we will have more to say during the course of the week, as the Premier said, on how we continue to evolve and adapt our approach.
The Premier says after that trial, they're now looking at broadening surveillance-style testing, and that's not necessarily going to be randomly testing anybody who's asymptomatic, but they want to focus on those high-risk industries. Now, while that won't be a matter of compelling workers to actually get a test, he says they will be strongly encouraged to do so, particularly with those industries wanting to get back to 100% operations, and he says he'll have more to say about that later this week. The Department of Health also says they've expanded their sewerage testing to now 23 wastewater sites across Victoria to try to find wherever coronavirus might be lurking in the community. This all comes as we move again one more step here in Greater Melbourne. That includes the end to the nightly curfew. Instead, the fines for anybody who is gathering illegally has been beefed up to nearly $5,000. School children will return in primary school, and there have been a lot of very happy parents as well with childcare reopening.
We've had that sense of the day before Christmas of families sending emails to confirm that yes, they will be back on Monday the 28th, and how their children are looking forward to meet to meet their educators, to meet their friends, and to be back to that normal sense of I can actually attend and I can do the normal things that I used to do.
But while today's step means that around 127,000 extra workers across Melbourne will be allowed to return to the workplace, there are many other small businesses who haven't been happy that these relaxations don't go far enough. They'll now have to wait until at least October the 19th to be able to get back to business.
The council assisting the Victorian hotel quarantine inquiry has concluded that a creeping assumption was to blame for the ill-fated decision to engage private security. Today is the last day of hearings in the $3 million investigation, which has heard from over 50 witnesses. Reporter Elias Kluwer joins me now. Elias, take us through the sequence of events that led to private security being used.
Well, it all started on the 27th of March. That's just 36 hours before the Victorian hotel quarantine program started. Now, according to council assisting, at 1:30 p.m, a text message was sent from then Chief Commissioner Graham Ashton to his federal counterpart Reece Kershaw, suggesting that private security would play a role in frontline security at the hotels. Fast forward to 2 o'clock when, at a meeting involving Police Minister Lisa Neville as well as Andrew Crisp, he's the Emergency Management Commissioner, and Graham Ashton, there's a lot of dispute over this particular meeting, but both Lisa Neville and Graham Ashton have said that it was Andrew Crisp who first mentioned the idea of private security being on the front line. At 3 o'clock, the Premier Daniel Andrews announced that private security would play a role at hotels. And then by 4:30, Assistant Commissioner Mick Granger says to Andrew Crisp, the Commissioner again, that it's the preference of Victoria Police that they play a secondary role to private security contractors. Now, Rachel Elliard, the council assisting today, said that assumption amongst government that police would prefer not to be on the front line led to the idea to engage private security. But she said a decision was never really made on this. Let's have a listen to her a little bit earlier.
We argued that perhaps this was a group decision made in the context of multiple departments and agencies gathered together. But the Victorian public would rightly expect that those making such a decision in a group would know they were making the decision and would accept responsibility for it. If it was a group decision, then the group's responsible. But it seems that if the decision was made in that State Control Centre meeting, no one knew they were making it and no one wants to own it.
And Elias, has council determined who was responsible for the program?
Well, Rachel Elliard also told the inquiry that the Department of Health and Human Services was solely responsible, and she said that the department didn't really focus on a health response. It said it focused too much on logistics. She also said that the department should have, engaged a health professional to be the state controller who would have been overseeing the hotel quarantine program. Now, Ben Isle, another council assisting, has told the inquiry today that the hotel quarantine program was a feeding ground for coronavirus here and has caused the deaths of over 700 people and caused over 18,000 infections. But the lead counsel at this inquiry, Tony Neal QC, has said that not one particular person or one decision is responsible for these failures. Let's have a listen to him.
There will be no suggestion from those assisting you that those engaged in setting up this program worked other than with the best of intent and to the best of their ability. Bad faith.
And other parties within this inquiry will make submissions in writing before the chair of this inquiry, Jennifer Coate, will provide her final report, which is due to be handed down in November. Gemma?
Elias Kluwer in Melbourne, thank you. Dreamworld's parent company Ardent Leisure has been fined over the deaths of 4 people on the Thunder River Rapids ride in 2016. Reporter Jennifer Huxley has more from the Gold Coast.
A $3.6 million fine for Dreamworld's parent company, Ardent Leisure. Now, they had originally pleaded guilty a few months ago in a brief hearing to 3 counts, 3 charges of failing to comply with its health and safety duty under the Queensland Health and Safety Act. So today was all about sentencing. Now, those particular charges, those 3 charges, were all Category 2, which carry with them a maximum penalty of $1.5 million each. So that's $4.5 million total. Now, the prosecutor, Aaron Guilfoyle, today encouraged the magistrate to apply a penalty close to the maximum, which she then acknowledged during her sentencing, but she did say that she took into account Ardent Leisure's remorse and their demonstrated willingness to learn from the past in handing down her findings. So $3.6 million fine, and that's, I guess, a little bit shy of the possible total of $4.5 million. Ardent Leisure's lawyers in court actually took the opportunity. They opened their statements today with a very long statement, a very long apology, and then the CEO fronted media outside court once the decision was handed down, and here's a bit of what he had to say.
Arden apologises unreservedly for the past circumstances and failures of Dreamworld that resulted in the tragic loss of 4 lives, and for the ongoing impact and that this terrible tragedy has had on so many people. It is impossible to comprehend how the families feel, and it was heartbreaking to hear their statements today, and my thoughts and prayers are with them.
A lot of interest Australia-wide and internationally in this case after those 4 people tragically died on the Thunder River Rapids ride in 2016. Now that there are family and friends that dialed in from New Zealand as well as from Australia via audio-video link. And of course the mother of 2 of the victims, Kim Dorset, she was in court in person. She delivered a harrowing victim impact statement where she relived the moment of when police officers knocked on her door to tell her that 2 of her children had died in that incident. She also recounted the moment she went to the police station to be with her grandchildren, one of who witnessed the whole incident. She recounted that the moment that granddaughter was saying over and over again, "I couldn't find mummy." It was an emotional moment in court. Kim Dorset often stopping to wipe tears from her face, to blow her nose. And of course, lawyers also read out another 2 victim impact statements from other families of the incident, but an emotional time in court. And certainly one families have said, despite the fact that this decision is now made, it's one that they will have with them for the rest of their lives. The West Australian Government is working to get crew members infected with coronavirus off a bulk carrier anchored off Port Hedland as soon as possible. Reporter Karen Mitchell-Moore joins us now. Karen, what's the current situation?
Well, Gemma, there's currently 9 crews still on the Patricia Oldendorff, about 9 nautical miles off Port Hedland. 7 of those 9 are infected with COVID-19. The authorities are working to get them off, but they do need a crew of 9. That is very much the skeleton crew that they need on board. A further 12 crew members are already in Port Hedland. They're in hotel quarantine under fenced-off security. 2 of those 12 have tested positive to coronavirus as well.
And what are we expecting to happen today?
Well, there were further test results expected this morning. We still haven't heard from authorities what those results are, but we're expecting, and the authorities have said they're expecting more of the crew members to possibly test positive to COVID. They've been together on the ship for a couple of weeks now, and the authorities are making a plan as we speak to get those crew off the vessel.
How is the local community faring?
Well, mixed reaction. This is the heartland of Australia's economy. Billions of dollars of iron ore exports come out of Port Hedland every single month. And so the community, we did speak to Arnold Carter. He's the president of the local Ratepayers Association. He was quite concerned. Here's what he had to say.
Amazing, shocking and disastrous. In the 3 words, it's something that we always thought was on the horizon, but to see it eventually happen in your own town has come as a bit of a shock. The amount of money that goes out of Port Hedland through the iron ore industry and the amount of budget estimates I saw the other night where they had a $2 billion, when we sit down, there is not a facility for emergencies such as this in the Pilbara.
Arnold Carter there, the president of the Hedland Ratepayers Association, just asking why there hasn't been a quarantine facility established in this place where it is so important to the Australian economy.
Karen,
Gemma.
thank you. That's Karen Mitchell-Moore in Port Hedland. There have been no new cases of COVID-19 detected in New South Wales in the latest reporting period. It's the 2nd consecutive day that no new cases have been found in the state. 63 people are being treated by New South Wales Health and 3 are in intensive care. Premier Gladys Berejiklian says she is concerned about a drop in the number of tests being conducted.
We only had about 6,400 people get tested. Yes, it's the weekend and we expect a dip, but can I please encourage everybody not to get complacent? Make sure whenever you are out and about, including here, that everybody is socially distanced, and make sure please also, if you're with the family in school holidays, if you're at a venue or enjoying the out of doors, please note the threat of the virus is still around us.
The federal government has defended phasing out its coronavirus income support measures. The JobKeeper wage subsidy is dropping from today, while JobSeeker has already been reduced. Political